Now let's talk about the Iowa State game, aka the Cyhawk game. It's a big tradition with Iowa sports because there's no professional teams in Iowa, so you watch a lot of college sports in the state of Iowa, particularly Iowa Hawkeyes or Iowa State Cyclones. I watched both games on Saturday, and I'll break down the pros and cons of each team and then give my overall prediction of what to expect for the game on Saturday. So for the Iowa pros, the Hawkeyes defense looked pretty well. Business as usual with them. Great O-line. Saw pancake blocks everywhere, especially on the run plays. Their tight end, Luke Leachy, put up 73 yards, which was impressive. And, of course, their punting team took care of business. Tory Taylor had 3 punts inside the 20. So this is a typical Iowa team in terms of the pros that they had this on the game against Utah State. Here are the cons of what I didn't really like. So Iowa recently got Cade McNamara, who used to be the starting quarterback for Michigan, but then J.J. McCarthy took over the role, so he transferred over to Iowa, which is a great asset to Iowa because they've never had a good quarterback well, that's not true. They've had good quarterbacks. They haven't had a good one in a while, though. However, I sensed some inconsistencies. First drive they scored, which was impressive, but then they could never really get back that same rhythm and just couldn't really do much in the second half. So I just didn't see much consistency in the offensive side of things, especially with the passing game. And then the run game. It wasn't really that impressive either. 2.4 yards per carry. And as mentioned, there's really not much of a deep threat for passing with this inconsistent offense. So let's kind of talk about the pros of the Iowa State Cyclones. This is based on what I've seen on the game against UNI. Their defense looked really great. I really liked it. 2 interceptions, one of them turned into a pick 6, and they had 7 pass deflections. Run game looked great. Average 5 yards per carry. Their punting improved. They didn't allow any sacks, and their backups were stepping up. Rocco, who was the quarterback for this game, he had 3 TDs. So I like what I see so far. The cons I have is some starters are not there. They actually got in trouble for gambling complications. That's what you get for trying to cheat the system. And just like Iowa, there's not much of a deep pass threat. So that's what they have in common in terms of cons, is there's just not a high power passing offense. If I were to predict this game, you may be surprised just because I am a Cyclone, but I also don't like to be biased and let it cloud my judgment. But I'm going to say Hawks are going to win by 4. Both offenses have improved in different ways, but Iowa's punting is going to position ISU in the back of their own territory a lot, and I can't see the run game alone drive them to the end zone. But I think Iowa State's kicking will keep them in close range in terms of points. So that's why I think it's only going to be a difference of 3 or 4 points. So I would say the total score is going to be no more than 24 total points because it's just typical that Iowa State football is just not a high power or high scoring game. However, I still can't stand the Hawkeyes. And to even show you what I mean by that is I'm going to present this graph that I created. So this is my Iowa Hawkeye football cycle, or presented by Hader AJ. So these are the 9 stages of Iowa football. Stage 1 is the preseason. Iowa Hawkeyes, they start ranked and they beat up on borderline G5 teams, including Iowa State and some weak Big Ten West teams. Then they get to stage 2, which is delusion. They have delusional college football playoff hopes. They say, we want Bama. I actually heard Rain say this once, and I almost slapped him. And they literally think they have a chance of going to a New Year's Six Bowl or the college football playoffs. And then you get to stage 3, which is the reality stage. They actually start playing good Big Ten teams from the East, such as Penn State, OSU, or Michigan, and they get their asses whooped. And then stage 4 is the blame. They demand to fire someone that isn't Kirk Ferentz, their head coach. In this case, they want to fire his son, which is weird that they give this guy so many chances to be on the team. They have some contract where he has to put up 25 points a game to keep his job, which is absurd. I've never heard anything like it, but they'll pull strings if it's Kirk's son, though. Then you get to stage 5, which is the remedy stage. They get back to beating up on weak Big Ten West teams, and they get their hopes up, which leads to stage 6, which is the false hope stage. They start talking about the Big Ten championship, like they're going to make it now. But then there's stage 7, which is grief. They lose a big divisional game to punch their championship ticket, and it's usually against Purdue, Wisco, Illinois, or sometimes even Nebraska. That's their favorite game they love to brag about or talk shit about, is because, they like to beat on little brother Nebraska. So I remember last time they lost to them, so that was very funny to see, in my opinion. Then you get to stage A, which is the consolation prize. They make a bowl game. Yay. But it's always against a team that they're favored to beat. And then stage 9 is the offseason. They demand to fire someone other than Kirk again. And then you go back to stage 1, and the cycle just never ends. All things considered, yeah, I'm a big hater. I'll admit it. But there's one thing I appreciate about Hawkeye football is that it brings life to the state of Iowa. If you're ever from Iowa, there's nothing else to do in that God forbidden state except drink beer and watch football or basketball. And Iowa and Iowa State are the teams to take care of that need for you. So that's what I appreciate both teams for.